Austin Ekeler, you come to town with a serious experience and a really big name. I mean, the amount of touchdowns you scored in LA. How are you taking this new role here in DC?
Yeah, it's been welcoming to first start off. So I really appreciate the love that the DMV area has been sharing with me. And I'm learning the terms like DMV.
Yeah, there you
now.
go.
See, I've been on the West Coast this whole time, so I'm getting acclimated. But nothing really changes for me and my mentality. It's been the same since I was a rookie, since I was sixth string on the depth chart and trying to make a spot on the team. It's the same mentality. Continue to build, continue to carve out something for yourself, and you do that by showing up to practice and creating trust within your teammates and the coaches.
I mean, because of the success you had with the Chargers before you got here, Commanders fans might not realize how tough your journey was to that point. I mean, going back to college, undrafted, like, can you give us the Cliff Notes version?
Yeah, absolutely. So really didn't have a lot of stock. The Chargers didn't have a lot of stock in me. I was an undrafted guy. Like I said, sixth string on the depth chart. They had a first-round pick. They had a bunch of other guys in front of me. And for
was it Western Colorado?
I went to Western Colorado, so I went to Division II school.
Okay.
So my coach used to call it college. You went to college, because it was just like, where's that place at?
Right.
And for me, it was a chance to immerse myself into a new opportunity that I had, and I took it with the utmost seriousness. For me, I made it a life or death situation to my mental. Like you have to get this done. And I was able to tap in, and I still am there, where I tap into my survival instincts to make sure that I'm putting everything in my power to go forward and get this job done. Because at the end of the day, if I do that, I know regardless of the result, I can live with myself and the effort that I put in. And I've been continuing to build myself up, started at special teams, and then about my fourth year started starting, and then continued to build on my role and make an impact on that team, and looking to do the same thing here.
With all you've accomplished, I mean, a lot of accomplishments, you still have that mindset? Do you allow yourself to get comfortable?
I even just thinking that just actually makes me mad.
Really?
What do you mean get comfortable? Like, for me, it's like I have a relentless pursuit to continue to build. Like, I want to build stuff, build myself, build the people around me, and build in my community. And I've been doing that since I started out in LA as well, because for me, I have this opportunity to go out and put myself into a situation where I get to compete at the highest level. And me, just as an individual, want to be in a scenario where I have stress to go and build that can also be better for myself in the future. And so I have a relentless, like I said, mindset to continue to build myself and the people around me.
Well, does last season, the injuries on both ankles, I mean, you called it down year, you still went over 1,000 yards from scrimmage. But last year, and then Chargers letting you walk in free agency, does that refuel the fire, re-engage those feelings?
The fire's never been dimmed down. I'm continuing to stay where I am. In this league, you are definitely judged on your last season. And yeah, my last season was not up to the standard that I've set for myself.
It was still good.
It was still good from a sense of, yeah, you look at numbers and paper, but
sure.
From, when we're actually looking at, wins in the win column, we won 5 games. For myself, and the standard that I've set for myself, it wasn't good enough. And that's my expectation, is to get back to that, because that's where the standard is set, and that's what I need to be playing at, because that's what I've built my capabilities to be able to do and show. So for me, that's exactly where I'm trying to get back to, if not even push that bar even higher.
So what does this team have then? What do you see here? What brought you here?
Yeah, absolutely. So first off is the opportunity. What does that opportunity look like? Well, we got B-Rob here. We have a coach that is familiar with me and used me in the past that I've had a lot of success under. So that combination alone has been great. Yep, Anthony Lynn. And then really now just learning more about DQ, it's even more of a fit as far as how I think about things, as far as building culture, building brotherhood, working on yourself, working on your fundamentals. You want to go and win the Super Bowl, but that's not even a conversation you really have, because to do that will be a result of the work that you put in together, of the team that you build, of the camaraderie, of the chemistry. He talked about it yesterday. All teams have great players. And all teams are going through training camp right now. But what separates teams? Well, how close are they, right? How well can they mesh with the coaches and the players? And that's the stuff in between the meetings, in between, right, the practice field, that's going to continue to put us in a position where we're continuing to edge ourselves and get better.
DQ is all about competition. Hearing you talk about the life and death situation, the inner fire, it seems like you guys would mesh. But for this season of work, a lot of it will hinge on Jaden Daniels. You worked with a stud young quarterback in LA. What do you think of Jaden so far?
Yeah, Jaden's been a stud, just as Herbert was. I'm super proud of this kid so far coming in. I say kid now because I'm like the old guy in the room.
How weird is that?
It's crazy to think, man. I'm 29, still in my 20s, and I'm the old guy. But anyway, super proud of him and how he's been handling himself, working with Marcus. And I know we went out, this summer and we were throwing together out in Oregon together. And so like spending time with him, he's taken initiative to go out there and bring us together and step into that leadership role, showing early signs of that. It's always hard for rookies to come in, I think, lead right away just because they're trying to gain the respect of the team and trying to find their way. But he's been showing signs of getting that. For example, we've been running a lot of choice routes, moving me around. He's talking to me after the play. Hey, what do you see on this? And I'm like, yes, that's exactly what I want to hear from the quarterback. And let's talk through the routes of, hey, I want you flatter here. I want you to, stop here. So it's a process. You don't just come out and be a stud, but he's on the right path to go out there and show the world what he can do, and I'm excited for him.
It's an exciting time. You've made some comments about working with Brian Robinson, and then you're excited for that comment.
Yeah.
What does that mean for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So here's the thing. Like, as I look across the league, even in my career, when you have a good tandem back system, like you can go out and you guys are both balling, and when they're balling, there's a pressure in the room because you got to meet the standard, and you either setting the standard or you're trying to match, depending on how the day is going. You're always trying to set it, but sometimes that someone's having a better day, I think. So it's that iron sharpened iron that you hear. And for us, that's exactly what you want to have in the room, because we talk about the fire. Well, when you have that, the fire can get enraged, right? We all have a fire in us out here on this field, but when you have people that are pushing you, can make you compete, then it really is just flourishing. And especially with Coach Land too, the way he coaches, he's very particular on getting details right and understanding your assignment, and putting players in the right places to make those plays. And so when you put that environment together, like when you're in this running back room that we have right now, the cream's going to rise to the top, and you have to stay there. Like you got to be competing at this level, or it's going to be hard for you to get playing time. So
every day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's amazing to be in this type of environment.
That's great to hear. A couple other things I want to hit here. You have embraced fantasy football in a way a lot of players don't. I'm a fantasy geek. I'm old enough. In high school, we played fantasy football, and we had to go steal the USA Today from this deli so we could get the box scores from the whole league, right? What made you like fantasy, and what has been kind of your favorite moment in that world?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So for me, as I mentioned, I am in relentless pursuit to build myself, but also then, share that with the people around me in my community. And as a part of that, I've continued to have success on the field, which has flowed over into the fantasy world.
You've been a fantasy stud.
Oh, so exactly. And so, you ask about my favorite moments, I'll just knock that one out. Definitely the 2 years where I led the league in touchdowns.
40 touchdowns, 2 seasons?
40 touchdowns, 2 seasons.
Pretty good, dude.
Those are some pretty good highlight years from the fantasy standpoint. But why I love fantasy is because of that community. It's another opportunity, right, for people to come together, for people to be around each other, for people to embrace and forget everything else and really embrace each other, whether it's through some friendly competition and stuff like that.
Speaking of engagement.
Right, exactly. And so for me, I love that. I love that about it. Like, don't get me wrong, it definitely has its its dark side.
Everything does.
Exactly, like everything does, but I embrace all of the good, and there's more good in that community than bad. So that's why I tap into it.
So it's interesting. I totally agree with you on, regardless of what you're doing, trying to build the community. I don't come to this chair from like a natural path. I didn't, you know what I mean? Like, I was an insurance salesman out of college, but I started a podcast and built a community, and things just kept growing.
Yeah.
And one of the things you're doing now, which I think is so smart, is you started your own app to kind of keep that fan engagement going. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So just like the fantasy world, well, there's a world of fans out there that are just fans of just the guys, the fans of the team. And for me, like, I wanted to engage with them like I do with fantasy. In the fantasy world, I can just go play fantasy football.
Right.
Well, what if you want to step outside of that world? How do you engage with people? Well, you can come out to training camp, but then after training camp, it's no show. You have no access.
Yeah, like there's a half hour of autographs, but then it's over.
And so I was like, how can I make this efficient for players around not only the NFL, but the other sports as well? And so I started my own fan engagement app called Experience. And what you can do.
ECK, right?
EKS.
Okay. EKS, got it.
EKSPER,
Experience, got it. Like excellent.
And so you can do like one-on-one engagements if you want to talk to me about what's going on in the season, training camp.
How often will you be on there?
Every once in a while, I get an order. It just depends on when I get an order.
Okay.
That's how I've set it up. So if you have a request for me, you can put a request in.
We get other guys on there.
Oh, yeah. We have like 70 guys on right now.
Okay.
So from pretty much all 32 teams. So you can check it out. My favorite one right now that we're building is called Fan Mail. So if you want to get something signed, you can send it in through the app. We'll get it signed and send it back to you.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
and I know people love that stuff.
Game changer. So check it out. Experience. It's in the App Store.
There you go. Google and Apple.
Google and
everywhere
Apple.
You need to be.
All of it.
All right. My last one, probably. How much has your life changed this year? Getting married, leaving the West Coast, it's been a lot of change.
Yeah, and from the outside looking in, I think it looks like a lot of change. But from my standpoint, where I am and me going down this journey, it was just the next step.
Sure.
And it was just the next step that I was about to take. In my football career, I just finished two seasons, 2 contracts with the Chargers. All right, we were kind of coming to this conflict of interest. They wanted to do this thing. I wanted to do something else. Hey, the next step was, all right, going out into the world, into the open market. Now I'm here in the DMV area. Same with my marriage. I had been together with Melanie for 3 years. Absolutely love this woman. And it was the next step was to get married. Even with the app, right? We've been building this for the last 3 years. The next step was to bring it out into the public. And so from the outside in, looks like I'm doing a lot, but I've been working on all of these things for, the past decade.
Right.
And so it's just now getting exposure in some places where it hasn't necessarily before. So you kind of see a finished result and it seems like a lot. But as I mentioned, for me, and just like anyone out there, like you continue to push and progress in things. And it seems natural to go in that direction.
That's life. Life's about growth. Everything you want is on the other side of hard work, right?
No doubt. And my perfect example that I love to bring up is like in the weight room. Like people see me like, oh, I do a lot of weights. I have like this reputation for being really strong. And it's like, from the outside, looking in, it looks like, whoa, he's doing a ton. But like I said, for me, I built up to this. So for me, it just is natural that I'm doing, 350-pound bench reps. It's like that's natural for me, or 200-pound pull-ups, things like that. But from the outside looking in, you guys got to remember, everyone has to remember there's a journey and there's a path. And if you're trying to get somewhere, you got to continue to push down the path. And then eventually that'll seem like the next step for you.
You brought it up. I wasn't going to bring it up.
What's that?
And I don't know how to get here without sounding weird. So just
oh boy, here we go.
I've covered football for a long time.
Yeah,
I've been in a lot of locker rooms.
Yeah.
Your abs are bananas. What exactly are you doing in the ab workout?
Did you not just hear me? The
200-pound pull-ups?
Well, I mean, it's just a combination of I've been working out for the last 15 years straight.
Is that part of the fire?
That is the original fire. The original fire within me was get in the weight room. And when you get in the weight room, it's an opportunity where you get to push yourself relentlessly and you get to better yourself mentally, mainly mentally. The best things that you get from being in the weight room is not even the physical part. The physical part is absolutely a good part, but it's the capacity that you'll build mentally, that you'll show up every day, that you'll push yourself every day, and hopefully maybe even bring a friend along with you. So you get the social aspect as well. And those are all transferable skills to other things in life.
Totally.
And then the abs start to come as well, right?
Right.
And then the rest of the body and the fitness as well. So if you're on the journey out there, keep pushing, because eventually the abs, will be the next step for you. But if you never start the journey, you'll never get there.
I try to lift. The abs are not anywhere close to coming. I may have missed my window.
Look, there's diet that plays a role into it.
Beer?
That doesn't play a role.
Right.
Well, that plays the opposite.
Right.
You either compound up or you compound down.
Yeah. I think I could guess my trajectory.
So like we gotta write the seed right here.
Right.
Like look, you got one life, right? It's like, hey, let's put a little part of this to take care of the vessel that you're in this life with. All
right. So, maybe I'll hit you up on experience.
There you go.
We'll work out.
You can grab some tips, man.
Yeah.
I'll give you some motivation. If you want to hit me up daily, I'll give you some motivation to go get in the gym.
Dude, thank you for the time.
Next time I see you, I want to see the abs. We're going to do a comparison. So
I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't think we can put that on TV, man.
Okay. All good.
Thank you, man. This has been great.
It's been awesome, man.
Thank you.
All right, welcome back.
What do you think of my abs, B?
Well, I don't think your abs are worth nothing, but I think that interview right there was way better than you even know. That dude just sat there and relatively told everyone out there, like, stop looking at athletes and thinking that they just started right here. It's a hell of a job to get where they're going. So don't think it just because you're the same size, you weigh the same, you can do what they do. He talks about how to take those things into his life. Everything he said, I was in awe. Because
you were locked into that interview.
I love those type of things because people that cover it, they cover it as if, oh, this just happens. Nah, it's a lot of BS. A lot of BS you deal with, and a lot of stuff you put into it to get where you got to go. And the mere fact that he looks at it in that way, where it's just another step. It's easy for him. It's difficult for everybody else to see it. Just like when you're watching that little duck on top of the water, look calm as hell. Look underneath the water. He's working his ass off.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And he's done that. You watch him, man. That's why when you look at all the stuff that his weightlifting, he brought that up.
Right.
I've followed that. That dude puts it in. He doesn't just talk about it. Like a lot of these guys out here, they got the natural size. They're an athlete. They just, God bless them. They can take that a little farther than what it is. Believe me.
Sure. I mean, I totally think you're right. And I think sometimes when a guy has to earn it the way Ekeler did by, undrafted, he talked about being 6th on the depth chart, came up as a special teams player, eventually gets a little crack at playing. Like, I think the journey, I mean, Dan Quinn has talked about that the other day, where he likes guys that have gone through some journey. I think Zach Ertz just talked about that. Like, there's a mindset on a lot of these veteran players that are here. There's no guarantee that it'll work, right? Like, there's no guarantees with anything except death and taxes. But, like, they've put together guys with a mindset that, the phrase I love, and I'm a McVay mark, and I recognize that, but they attack success, but it's all intentional. And so I'm sitting there with Ekeler as we're getting ready to do that interview. And if you want to watch it, it's on my YouTube page at JP Finlay DC. But I'm sitting there with Ekeler to get ready for that interview, and we're kind of just BSing. And I didn't know, like, Ekeler has a pretty high profile because he's been such a devastating running back. Like, he's been really good. And then I know that he does the fantasy stuff, and I know he's really good on television, and he has a podcast and all these things, right? And sometimes when a guy has all that stuff, when you get to sit down and talk to him, you recognize, like, okay, this dude's kind of planning for life after football, or what happens next.
He's going through life.
Or maybe his focus is in different spots. That dude, it's just not the case. That dude is so locked in on football.
Yeah.
And then when he talked about his inner fire and that it's life or death for him, like, any question about does Ekeler still have it, to me was gone.
See, I think
gone.
What he does, like, people live for a reason, like, to get to a point. Like, most people go on a diet. He's not doing that. He's living his life, getting to where he's going to go. He understands that if you do what you need to do to get to a certain point, you're going to get there. But if you don't do what you need to do, and, like, we all have this New Year's resolution. Everybody do it, right?
Right.
How many people get past January 31st still following it? Not many. But Ekeler wouldn't even think about January. He wouldn't think about a New Year's resolution. He just say, okay, that's who I want to be, and this is the plan I have to do it. And then he begins to follow his journey. And then he may get to, like, my plan on Friday, ride a bike from D.C. to Dewey Beach. I'm not necessarily thinking about Dewey Beach. I'm going to get there because I've done the work up to now, so I know I can get to this 30-something miles, get across that damn bridge, and then let's go for it. And when I get there, it'll be another one. I'll find something else to go do from Pittsburgh back to D.C. It's mine. It's 3 days. We'll figure it out. But it's like people – I that interview, to me, I think more. We got to play that again because people got to hear that some more. Stop thinking that guys were born somewhere. People work to get where they're going, just like you need to work to get where you want to go in whatever field you're trying to do.